guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Theresa, and I just want to thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in and subscribing. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button. Today's video is going to be an update to a video that I did not too long ago about how to set up a newborn session. Now, the only reason why I'm updating it is because I changed something, a little bit of what I used to do. I completely got rid of my beanbag and transitioned to the tabletop. Okay, so I know you've heard quite a bit about the tables, and if you haven't heard about newborn photographers going from beanbag to table, I don't know. It's like it's a thing now, and it's a thing for a very valid reason. So I'm going to explain to you basically why I changed from a beanbag to a tabletop. So with the beanbag, just a little backstory of myself. I can take anywhere from 1 to 2 newborns a day. I cannot do more than that. I feel like that would be torture. Babies take a lot of time to photograph, and my body just couldn't handle it with the beanbag. So with my back, I have scoliosis. Having a beanbag on my platform lifted or even on the ground requires me to bend, to stay on my knees, to bend over, to utilize my back way more. So a lot of photographers have changed over to the tabletop, myself included, because of how much of a relief it is on our backs. I tried to fight it for as long as I could, and I was like, not doing the table, wrong. Totally switched to it, and it was the best thing I could have did. Wish I would have done it sooner. So basically, I am going to take you through the process of putting together your newborn table and show you the benefits, basically, besides what I just named. The benefits of this table. So the table I have is a Lifetime, it's by the company Lifetime. It is a 48-inch round table. I do happen to have a square table as well, a black square table. That one I got from Walmart, but it was not intended for newborn photography. It was intended for our son's birthday party. I figured, why not give it a shot before moving to an actual investment in a table. I had already had it in my home. Absolutely fell in love with that table. My only issue was with it having corners. It was really hard to get a full frame image with all of the fabric in the drop. Now, I'll include an image so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. At the top or at the sides of this image, or any image that I took, because I use a full frame camera, it's, there's more seen. I use a 35mm. That's a wider lens. It's not a wide angle, but it's a wider portrait lens. So it allows me to capture more of the scene. And with that being said, I would capture parts that wasn't covered by the fabric that would be on the table. So that is the only issue you might run into with a smaller or a square table. But I knew I needed the space, especially this year with a set of triplets. I knew I needed the space, and I didn't want them to be clustered on top of each other. So I went ahead and got the 4-foot. That's actually the size that a lot of photographers are going with. And the one thing I do love about this is my beanbag was bulky, and it was a big square. It was 52 by 48 inches, so it was huge. It required me to constantly refill it with the beans because the beans would flatten over time. There's a certain way you have to fill your beanbag so that the beans don't fly all over your studio or your bedroom or your living room or wherever you're trying to fill it, bathtubs, all of this stuff, horror stories. With this, you never have to refill it. You don't have to change anything out except for your backdrops. And then if a baby happens to pee, this is of course waterproof. I don't see a downside. And I can fold this up. So not only was it smaller than the beanbag, I can fold this up and stick it away, and it'll be like it was never here. Huge benefit, especially since I have a smaller studio. I turned my 2-car garage into a studio space, and with that, I had to find ways to alleviate props being on the floor. Another benefit, like I said before, was that I can actually sit under the table. I can put my knees right under the table. When I would set up for a newborn session, I would kind of have stuff all over the place because I would have the props ready to go when I needed to switch it out. I've been able to stick the pre-made props right under this table and still have floor space so that mom can walk around and see what I'm doing with her baby. You know, this is her brand new baby and I want her to feel comfortable. I want dad to feel comfortable with this table. Again, I can fold it up, stick it right on the floor of the vehicle with the seats folded down, and transport it just as I need to. So again, there's many benefits to this. If you are a traveling photographer, you might want to look into not so much a travel size beanbag. This is much cheaper than a travel size beanbag. And you know, no shade to any companies that sell travel size beanbags or regular size beanbags, no shade, but at the end of the day, you we do a lot of photography hacks and life hacks in general, and it's usually smarter to just go with something that's going to make your life a lot easier. Working with these babies is hard enough. You kind of want your equipment to work with you and not against you. That big bean bag caused a lot of issue. I wasn't able to travel to some clients, and some clients don't want to leave their homes with their brand new babies, and that's totally fine. Some parents are a-okay with doing it because they've already done the first week check by the time they come to see me. I would say just have this as an option. It's pretty cool to have options. But again, 48 inches, so it's a 4-foot table. You could always do 36. They do have 36-inch tables. I just felt like that wouldn't have been big enough for what I needed. Being that it's round, I can turn it. If you're familiar with the Paloma shell, it's kind of that concept without the back being elevated for you to clip the backdrops. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. You can see exactly what I do. I use quite a few fleece layers this way to pad the table. I do feel like my babies do better in certain poses on the table versus the beanbag. One being Froggy, well, two being Froggy and Taco. If you have traded over to the table, please let me know in the comments. Let me know how it's working for you. If you changed to the table, hated it, and went back to the beanbag, let me know too. I would love to hear your experiences as I'm giving you mine. So here we go. I'm going to start dressing the table. So these are the clips that I use now. Before I was using the black alligator clips. These are 2-inch Irwin clips that I got from Lowe's. These are the clips that I got from Lowe's. Not entirely sure what to call them. They were 2 inches and they were there by Irwin. I can't remember how much they were, but I'm going to go ahead and link them in the description below. Okay, so I put my first 4 layers on. I have 3 fleece layers and 1 regular blanket that kind of just smooths everything out on top. I added another layer, another fleece layer from when I did the video the last time, because this is a tabletop, so it's a little harder, and I want it to be soft for the babies. So I'm going to put 2 backdrop fabrics on top of it, so that's going to help thicken it a little bit more. But before I do that, I wanted to have a good foundation. So this is how I set it up. If your fleece layers don't go all the way over the table, that's fine. You're not photographing the entire table. You are going to just photograph the area of the baby. So you want to keep that area as smooth as possible. And then with those clips, they're very strong. They have a very wide mouth. So when you can pull your fabric as tight as you need. Okay, so right now you see the first layer is a tan layer or a beige, whatever that color is. That is the same layer that I used in the other video. If you haven't seen the other video, I went ahead and I linked it down in the description. So if you do have a beanbag, you can kind of see how I used to set my beanbag up. But with this layer, this is the exact same layer. I keep this layer, one, because it helps to separate that whatever colors are beneath it, those fleece colors, it helps it to separate it from if it is a lighter backdrop on top. So if it was like a mint green or a lavender or a pink, white, whatever the case is, those tend to be a little see-through to whatever is going to be underneath it. So that kind of helps to block that pattern or that solid color that's going to be beneath a lighter colored backdrop. It also helps to add another layer of cushion, and it also helps to straighten out any lumps that I guess the fleece may have. This is something that I just kind of picked up along the way. It's not something somebody ever told me. It's just, it helps. Okay, so now that the table is done, you seen me, I guess, stretch this out. That's what I was saying. Like, if one of your backdrops don't necessarily fit like one of the fabrics, because we basically use stretch fabric, just stretch it over it. But this is why I got these wider mouth clips, because I knew these tables would be thicker. So what I usually do is I'll press it against my leg, hold the fabric down if I need to stretch it, put the clip on it. So I went and grabbed a bear just real quick. Granted, you'll be able to see what it looks like with the baby, but I figured I would do it right now while I'm still in the process of setting up. So this is what I was talking about, where I'm saying, like, you can sit at the table. I just have a stool. It's backless. Some people have chairs with backs on them. I feel like if I need to get a certain angle, I need to back up or something, I don't want the restriction of this here. Now, because this gives me so much more surface, I wouldn't have to extend the backdrop nearly as often, especially since I shoot my babies right about here anyway. So I bring them close to me. If I need for them to back up at all, I'm not moving them. I'm just going to move the table a little bit. There's very little vibration, very little noise on the ground, as you guys, weren't really able to hear it. And then if I need like a certain angle where I'm like, oh, I put the baby too much towards the light and I need to change it, because my light is usually on my left hand side. But if the baby is at a weird angle where I'm just like, oh, I'm not getting the shot I want, I'm getting too much nose or something, I can just rotate the table. There's little, you can see that the bear moved almost none. There's little to no vibration turning the table, so it doesn't disrupt them. And this way I can get the certain angles that I needed. And this is why I compared it kind of to the shape of the Paloma shell, because with that being a circular shape, that was what everybody kind of fell in love with. It was like, oh my gosh, I can rotate it. Oh my goodness, I can move it. So this is pretty much the same thing I would have done with a bean bag. I'm just doing without a bean bag. As you can see, it's smooth, so I'll have very little editing to do. And yeah, that's pretty much how that's pretty much my updated version of how to prepare for a newborn session. I literally work from the left side of my studio all the way to the right side, kind of how we read books. It just really makes sense for me now. I start with my light all the way over here, end over there, and then family is on the backdrops that are hung up on the wall. I definitely am thankful for you guys coming on and watching these videos. So please, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell and turn it to all, because now they have it a little wonky. So go ahead and turn it to all so you don't miss an upload. So again, thank you guys, and I cannot wait to see you guys in my next video. Stay blessed, guys. Bye.